I'm Micah.
And I'm John.
Together
we're MJ. And this is the greatest sports podcast of all time. Welcome to the show, folks. We're going to give you a quick rundown here. We're just going to call it how we see it, and there's not much to know about us other than we're cousins and we're just two big guys that love talking about sports. To start the show, we're going to talk about the MLB postseason preview, and we're going to start with the Cubs. Now, I think the Cubs are honestly terrible this year. They're not what they were last year, and that's going to make a lot of people mad. But honestly, their pitching staff is just god-awful. They have 2 guys with an over 4.5 ERA and 3 guys with an over 3.5 ERA. And that is just not a positive formula for the postseason. And I don't know if their offense can overcome all those runs allowed.
You know, I somewhat agree. The pitching staff is terrible, but once we get into the postseason, these guys have been proven in the postseason. They're veterans. They can step up and perform. And with this young core of offensive players, they can always get hot at any time and stay hot and keep those runs up to help out the pitching staff.
You know, that's a good point, but the numbers don't lie. They're just not as good as they were last year.
But the thing with baseball, though, if you get hot, it's all about getting hot heading into the postseason. Once that happens, you stay hot. Anybody could win the World Series.
Well, if you want to talk about being hot, let's talk about Cleveland. These guys have won 27 of their last 28. But I got to think, did they get hot too early? Almost a month too early?
You know, they could always pick it back up. That's kind of what I was thinking, you know. It ended, but they could always pick it back up, get going again, and win the World Series.
I mean, they're still hot, but you want to be hot like a week ago, a week and a half ago, with a week and a half left in the season now. So you have about 3 weeks, play 15-ish games to really get rolling into the postseason. I think they just started too early.
Well, trust me, once these guys get another taste of the postseason and get revenge for what happened last year, they're going to get hot and they're going to want it.
You know, that's true. And they do have a great staff in Corey Kluber.
Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, I mean, they're just... I think they might take it all. Like, if
Lefty specialist, Andrew Miller.
Can't hate on that guy. Great shortstop in Francisco Lindor. I mean, this might be the team to beat, I think. But another team that needs to be taken down right now is the Red Sox. They have been on fire lately as well, winning tons of extra inning games. But my problem with the Red Sox right now is their pitching staff. They have one good pitcher in Chris Sale, but we don't know how he's going to do in the postseason. What do you think about the Red Sox staff right now, especially with David Price? Like, who knows?
Well, you know, I've heard talks about David Price stepping into an Andrew Miller role, you know, lefty specialist.
I think he would be good there. I do.
Yeah, exactly. Out of the bullpen, you know, get at some of those lefties. He has starter stamina, so he'll be able to play multiple games. And, you know, arguably the greatest pitcher in baseball, definitely the greatest pitcher in the AL, Chris Sale, just strikeout monster, and we'll have to see if he can perform. Never been in the postseason before, I don't think.
The greatest pitcher in baseball? Are you kidding me? You want to talk about a team with the greatest pitcher in baseball? Let's talk about those Dodgers, man. Rolling the whole season. Practically haven't done anything positive lately. But they do have Clayton Kershaw. However, my thing with Clayton Kershaw is he does not show up in the postseason. Much like David Price, mind you. So, Dodgers, their offense is high-powered. They got it going, but will their staff be able to handle it?
That's the thing, though. If Clayton Kershaw has one bad start, they have Yu Darvish. You know, he's not been the greatest lately, but he could maybe get glimpses of back when he was a Cy Young candidate, and you know, just really get back into his form. You know, Alex Wood, Rich Hill got some good veteran presence there.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking those veterans, man. They could really lead that team with young guys like Cody Bellinger. I mean, he's gonna need somebody to give him that postseason guidance, especially if he struggles being nervous and it being such a big stage. I mean, we know what this kid is capable of, but at the same time, it's going to be really hard to tell.
And the greatest guy for that is plays the same position, Adrian Gonzalez. He's a veteran, been to the postseason a couple times, and he can really help him out. And speaking about Cody Bellinger, he could get into the MVP race because once the Dodgers really started getting hot is when Cody Bellinger got called up and they really started just raking.
Well, on MVPs, can we jump to the Astros here? Because Jose Altuve is a fantastic hitter. Is he good enough to be considered for the AL MVP?
Yes, averaging, the 340s?
Yes, I believe so. Is he more of a candidate than, say, Aaron Judge, who I believe are the dark horse Yankees with a great pitching and a great offense? You know, they're actually scoring the second most runs per game in the league right now. So, could Jose Altuve take down Aaron Judge for that AL MVP crown?
A little correction, they are scoring the most runs in the league, but, you never know. He has a little home run pop power. But Aaron Judge, he's got to keep them strikeouts down, and his average isn't as high as it was before the break.
Yeah, but this guy is still hitting tons of home runs. He's got over 100 RBIs now. His OPS is fantastic. I mean, I do agree with the strikeouts, but we're just going to have to see. Now, my team that I want to pick a bone with is the Nationals. What the heck is going to happen with those guys? They haven't made it past the second round, right? In like the last
Ever since they've been good.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, that's just, especially with their, I don't want to say heart and soul, but their guy, Bryce Harper. With him out, I mean, we don't know what he's going to be capable of doing when he gets back from this knee injury. It's going to be intriguing to see. Definitely.
I definitely think he'll be able to come back just fine. But the thing is, their whole outfield is just injured. They're gonna need their outfield core back with Mark Eaton, and Jason Worth, and all these other guys. But their infield is pretty good though. You got Matt Wieters, good veteran presence. You got Ryan Zimmerman, he's pretty good. Then you got Daniel Murphy. Not quite so good with the glove, but the bat is really going. Trey Turner, great young speed shortstop. Then you got Anthony Rendon at third base, and he's kind of like the it factor, I think. If he can really get going, it could help the offense out a lot. And also their pitching rotation with Max Scherzer, you got a young player in Joe Ross, and also their bullpen. It's kind of a little shaky, but they can really keep the bats going, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I will say I definitely have some confidence in the Nationals and what they're going to be capable of this postseason. Let's jump to who? I think we definitely need to jump to the Diamondbacks. I mean, JD Martinez has been on fire, really. And they have better pitching than I think people really realize.
Yeah, I agree. I really feel like the J.D. Martinez trade will really need to play off if they can make a good postseason push. They have the third lowest team ERA in the league, but will that transfer over to the postseason? Zach Greinke, he's had some postseason experience, but these other guys, they're young, haven't had much experience. And their bullpen is kind of not the best.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, your team's bullpen is good when you hear about it. Have we heard about the Diamondbacks bullpen at all this year?
Not at all.
No, so we're just going to have to see how that translates. And, I mean, all in all, and we've said it so far, we're just going to have to see what happens because a lot of these you can predict, like the Dodgers are going to be good. The Cubs maybe could kick it in. Cleveland's going to be good. The Astros are obviously going to be good, but we're really just going to have to see. And that's what stinks about the postseason still being a week and a half away.
And I also like to see what Paul Goldschmidt can do in the postseason.
Yeah, can we talk about Paul Goldschmidt? Because I feel like people do not realize the type of numbers that this guy is putting up right now.
Yeah, he's kind of a low-key player, but that's kind of how I like him. He's not the biggest player and most popular. He's a great player, but not everyone knows him.
Yeah, I feel like Paul Goldschmidt is the San Antonio Spurs of baseball. Just really good, really dominant, but you don't hear about him, and he's underappreciated, really. So during the postseason, folks, definitely watch Paul Goldschmidt's at bats because this dude is gonna step up big time. And since we just made that NBA comparison to the Spurs, let's jump to the NBA season predictions. Now, this is something that is definitely interesting because the Celtics, everybody thinks, have taken over the Cavs for the first spot, essentially, in the East. Everybody thinks they're going to win the East. But my problem with the Celtics is they're not going to be as good as everybody says they are. We know Kyrie can't run an offense. Who do they have now that can run an offense for them? Like Gordon Hayward, they signed him. He's like, he can play point forward. Would they consider moving him more to a 2 or more of a point forward since they're stacked with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum already at the small forward position? Like, what are they going to do there? What do you think?
I don't know. They're really going to need a good playmaker. Marcus Smart was drafted and he was looked at as a point guard, but he's kind of moved into a 2 guard right now, so I don't know what they're going to do with him. And like you said with Kyrie, he's not really the best playmaking player. And really, I think the greatest playmaker on that team is Al Horford. He's one of the best passing centers in the league. And I feel like that's kind of overlooked with him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You definitely have to give mad props to Al Horford. I feel like he's going to be the rock of that team this year. Like, people are saying it might be Kyrie's team. I think it's going to be Al Horford's team because he's a vet. He knows what he's doing. He's going to lead them. But, I mean, we've talked about Kyrie. We talked about how the Celtics are going to take over the Cavs. You can't give LeBron, who's the best player in the world still, and we can talk about this later, but he's still the best player in the world. You cannot give him a better point guard than Isaiah Thomas and expect the Cavs to be worse. I mean, I don't want to pick on Kyrie because he's an amazing player. We all know that. But LeBron literally got a better player. Like, he got what he needed and that fits a team. And I don't know. I think the Cavs are going to be better because Isaiah Thomas can run that team. He takes a load off of LeBron. I mean, frees things up for guys like J.R. Iman who feel the need to take the ball up the floor sometimes. So that's definitely going to be touchy.
I wouldn't say it is the better player. I think Kyrie is better because he's pure offense. I heard Iman Shumpert talk on Everyday Struggle. Shout out to Joe Budden, DJ Academics, and Nadeska, about how in the finals they would just sit off to the side and let Kyrie do his work on 2 or 3 players, and he'd just score uncontrollably. And I get what you're saying. Isaiah Thomas could kind of be that more passing, move the ball around, but he's still pretty ball dominant.
He is still pretty ball dominant. But that is the thing. I should clarify myself here really quick. I said Isaiah Thomas is the better player. That's wrong. Isaiah Thomas is the better point guard. There's definitely a difference between better point guard and better player because, I mean, Kyrie, come on. He's got the best handles in the league. I don't care if you add me with Steph or whatever, but, like, Kyrie has the best handles. He's a good shot creator. He's probably the best finisher in the league, but he's not what the Cavs need. So although Kyrie's a better player, Isaiah Thomas is a better point guard. Now that's not taking a shot at Kyrie. That's just saying, don't everybody give up hope on the Cavs so soon. That's kind of ridiculous.
But the thing is, will they be able to beat the Warriors?
Are they going to beat the Warriors? No. Honestly, nobody's beating the Warriors right now. Unless maybe they get the injury curse.
Yeah, it could always happen to any team, Kevin Durant could go down. That's a huge loss. Iggy could come back in, but that takes away, if they will really win against the Cavs then. Because with Kevin Durant, it's kind of a no doubt it'll be extremely tough for the Cavs. But also, Steph could get injured, Draymond, Clay, all those are big pieces to this team.
Yeah, I mean, if something happens to Draymond again, like we saw 2 years ago in the finals where he gets kicked out, I mean, that's anybody's game. And if we want to talk about teams that can take down the Warriors, I want to talk about Houston because Houston can definitely take down Golden State if this supposed Melo trade that's been going around happens because Melo, CP3, they already have good chemistry. And Harden and CP3 have good chemistry from what we've seen in all these pickup games, the Drew League, whatnot. So that's definitely something to look out for. But and they shoot masses of threes. I mean, they're probably the best bet to contend with the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't completely agree with that, but yes, they have a great system. If James Harden were to go down in the middle of the season and they were still not completely in the playoffs but not completely out, they have great role players. And under Mike D'Antoni, we could see Chris Paul completely take over the team. We saw this with Linsanity a couple years ago where he just blew up, flourished in his system.
Yeah, my problem with the Houston system, though, is Chris Paul, we all know, is a very savvy point guard, great playmaker, like all these things. He can do all these things, but he doesn't drive like James Harden. And in the Rockets offense, I mean, it's very drive and kick dominant, which is why they have such good role players for that system, good role players for Chris Paul. Now that's a different question.
But the thing is, though, Chris Paul really wants this ring. And if James Harden goes down, he's got this great system in Mike D'Antoni. I'm sure Mike D'Antoni will give him the green light and give him some faith. And he'll just really be able to do what he wants. Be more aggressive, be that guy.
Yeah, but how is Chris Paul going to perform without the types of bigs that he had with the Clippers? Because, I mean, who is it? Clint Capella? I don't want to hate on Clint Capella, but he is no Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan. So maybe that messes with the right way Chris Paul plays now. I don't know. We'll see.
Clint Capella ain't no super athletic DeAndre Jordan, but they're basically the same player. And with Blake Griffin, he had kind of more a mid-range pick and pop. With Ryan Anderson, he can move that back to the three-point line, give him some more space. Like I said, be more aggressive if he wants to.
Yeah. That could definitely lead to some more volume scoring because Ryan Anderson can stretch the floor, whereas Blake Griffin, like, in that pick and pop, he might do a couple dribble moves and that funky jump shot. I actually think this might work better for Chris Paul. Maybe I was wrong to start. You might have changed my mind there. So that's pretty interesting. Now, to stay in the West, is Paul George enough for the Thunder? I love Paul George, don't get me wrong. He's fantastic. But is Paul George enough for the Thunder? Especially because Westbrook and Paul George are both ball-dominant players.
We could get into the same situation that we saw Minnesota last year with Andrew Wiggins and Cat wanting to have the ball more and kind of getting some little chemistry issues. But I feel like Paul George, he'll help out the Thunder tremendously, but they don't have the pieces to really beat the Warriors,
Oh, they don't have the pieces at all.
Yeah, they don't have great three-point shooting. They have two great big men in Enes Kanter and Steven Adams, but they're not three-point shooters and they're not superstars.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, watching Thunder games last year, you almost felt bad for Russell Westbrook because they cannot shoot the ball at all. Like, Westbrook's a fantastic player. PG's good enough to be on the cover of 2K. So, I mean, that's definitely interesting because we're going to have to see how they work together. One of them is going to have to be less ball dominant, but maybe that might be better. See, like, maybe Westbrook's shots go down, but he's still able to get those more open looks with somebody like PG taking some focus off of Westbrook on the defensive end.
Yeah, but at the same time, Westbrook has that it factor, He knows it's his team, and the owners and GM, know it's his team, and they give him all the support they need, and that's part of the reason why Kevin Durant left, because he didn't feel as loved as Russell Westbrook. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, I mean, is PG the new fan favorite? Can he take some of that hit factor away from Westbrook? We'll definitely have to see. Now, you brought up Minnesota, comparing a little bit there with some chemistry issues. They've added a few pieces this offseason. What do you expect out of Minnesota, and what are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how Cat, Butler, and Wiggins can gel. Because like I said earlier, Cat and Wiggins had ball issues, and Jimmy Butler is pretty ball dominant, and he's going to want the ball. And I don't know how Cat and Wiggins will like that. And also Jeff Teague, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to take that step back, just create more. But the thing is also, Minnesota doesn't have really any three-point shooting. Jimmy Butler isn't the best. Wiggins isn't the best. Cat can hit down a couple. He's not the best. Jeff Teague isn't the best. Jamal Crawford off the bench is a great player, but he's not the greatest three-point shooter.
Yeah, I want to see what they can do, but I don't have a lot of faith in Minnesota. But on the Cat topic, talking about Karl Anthony Towns there, he can flourish in a system where he is not the guy. Because if you remember when he played for Kentucky a couple years ago, he had Jamal Murray and Tyler Ulis running the 1 and 2 guard. Tyler Ulis is a small guy. He doesn't move around real well without the ball. He's sort of ball dominant. He had guys like Devin Booker who obviously getting shots up. So, I think maybe not needing the ball as much and working within the offense, especially with guys that not necessarily stretch the floor but space it like Jimmy Butler, that could end up being lethal, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And talk about a young core, Philly.
Yes, Philly is, I don't want to say they're what I'm looking forward to the most, but they're what fascinates me the most. I mean, Ben Simmons was so hyped coming out of high school into college, so hyped coming out of college and in the NBA, and we didn't even get to see him last year. So how is that point forward going to work with a ball-dominant point guard like Markelle Fultz out of Washington, the number 1 overall pick?
I don't know. Joel Embiid is going to want the ball a lot. He's been getting hot. And talking about Ben Simmons' injury and not being able to play, I feel like with Joel Embiid's situation where he was out 2 years before playing, he can kind of help Ben Simmons get through that and give him the motivation to,
tip him to get back into the flow easier. Yeah, we kind of saw Joel Embiid being Hoodie Mello-esque, getting those jump shots up on Instagram this summer, so maybe he is going to need the ball more. I don't see how that works well with 3 ball-dominant players in the same system going to be starting.
And also, they don't have the veteran presence.
They have almost no veterans. That's going to be awful.
Yeah, especially down low, they don't have veterans to, help these guys be like, okay, let's share the ball more, let's get this going. And even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they could go all the way, but they won't have the veterans there to help them get through it, help them learn the experience.
That might actually be something that applies to Minnesota as well, because Jimmy Butler's a vet, Jeff Teague's a vet, Jamal Crawford's a vet. They could get some of these younger guys like Wiggins and Cat to really blend in the system there in Minnesota. So that's interesting as well. But let's go to the most questionable thing in this NBA. That is the Lakers. They got Lonzo Ball. Kyle Kuzma looked really nice in the summer league. Magic Johnson is looking to change the culture hardcore in Los Angeles, and maybe LeVar is right. Maybe. Do you think LeVar's right? You think the Lakers are going to take it this year or be close?
No, I don't. I doubt they even make the playoffs.
You doubt they make the playoffs?
I doubt they make the playoffs.
Oh, come on.
The only jump I think they'll make is, Lonzo Ball could average 14 points and 10 assists. And I've heard talks about Brendan Ingram being able to take, the next step that 2-year players, 3-year players usually make to that.
He's certainly capable of it.
Yes, exactly. With the scoring, he's super lengthy, and I've heard his body has really been developing and he's gotten stronger.
I guess we'll just have to see. My NBA dark horse is the Trailblazers. I think Dame and CJ are deadly. Are deadly there. Like, are they going to be legitimate contenders? No. Might they make a run at the end of the season, first or second round of the playoffs, where they could maybe face up against somebody like, or I guess they would have to go up against the Warriors maybe if they made it. Maybe they'd get lucky, get like a 4 seed. Probably not. And then they'd have to go up against somebody like Minnesota if they made it. It's definitely something to look out for. But we're just gonna have to see what they're able to do at the beginning of the season. But a team that's definitely going to be in it this year for the haul is the Wizards. John Wall is they have a great backcourt between John Wall and Bradley Beal.
And talking about backcourt, also with the Trailblazers, Dame and CJ, who's going to have the greatest backcourt in the NBA?
Is it still Steph and Clay?
I mean,
is it John Wall and Brad Beal?
Steph and Clay are the easy answer, though. I want to look at these younger guys, like John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Oh, and Steph and Clay are doing it with help, too.
Exactly.
I mean, they got Drake. I mean, we know the pieces. We don't need to talk about them. And they got a great coach that they have the green light no matter
great
what.
Great system.
I mean, they are not working with the issues that guys like CJ and Dame are and John Wall and Bradley Beal are, with maybe some missing pieces, maybe not having to be all there. So they might fall, they might make a run, but those are definitely two teams that I want to watch more than anybody else this year, with the exception of the Celtics and the Cavs, because those are two powerhouses that honestly might fall, might rise, we don't know yet.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier with the Spurs, I want to know what they're going to be able to do. You got veteran Tony Parker. He can help out the young point guard, Murray. Then you got Manu. Are they going to be able to contribute? And then you got, obviously, Kawhi, LaMarcus Aldridge. Speaking about Marcus Aldridge, he doesn't really seem like the Spurs player. He doesn't really fit that system.
Well, he's not at all. If you watched him when he was with the Trailblazers, he's very tall, he's very big, he's very back to the basket, at the free throw line, corners kind of. He can stretch floor and shoot the three. But the Spurs system is very non-ball dominant, moving without the ball, and he's kind of just a big lumbering guy that's going to hang out around the paint and get his.
And also another player that they got this offseason that's like that is Rudy Gay. He's a high-volume shooter, but he'll go out and he'll get points, and he could possibly be a sixth man of the year.
He'll definitely be a nice addition.
Yes.
Definitely. All right, folks, it is time to transition to the NFL, as we are in not the middle of the NFL season, but definitely the time of the year in the NFL season where games start to matter. They don't matter the most, but they start to matter. And I feel a little let down because there's not that many intriguing games in Week 3 here in the NFL. The most interesting game by far, probably venue-wise, is the NFL London game between the Jaguars and the Ravens. Now, I feel like if they want this game to mean something, as there have been rumors about maybe a team going to London like full time, starting a franchise there, they are going to want to give the fans in London something interesting, something people care about, something people want to see. People do not want to see interceptions thrown by Blake Bortles. They do not want to see that. They do not want to see the Ravens and the has-been Joe Flacco. I mean, if you're offended by that, I'm sorry, but Joe Flacco is not at all what he used to be. So this is just a not interesting game at all. But if you have nothing better to do, tune in to this game, because we have an honest chance to see Blake Bortles break the interception record of 8 interceptions in a game, which Jim Hardy of the Cardinals achieved almost 70 years ago in 1950, and I would be down to see that. I would pay money to see that. So maybe Jaguars tickets are going to go up this year. I don't know. Do people even know that stat exists? I don't know.
I feel like the most intriguing part of this game is going to be the young Jaguars core. You got the rookie Leonard Fournette.
Yes. That is definitely something to see.
And like the Ravens, they're old. They're kind of an old aging team, and they don't really have any young players that are notable. But with the Jaguars, you have Leonard Fournette, Telvin Coleman, Jalen Ramsey. What can they do against this old team in the Ravens?
Well, they need a leader, and they need a new quarterback. But if we want to stick with the terrible quarterback themes, maybe we should touch on the Giants and the Eagles game. Eli is bad. Carson Wentz, he showed something last year. He hasn't shown anything this year. I don't think he really has that big of a future in the NFL. The best part about this game, too, is going to see Odell embarrass himself by throwing a temper tantrum. Or maybe he just pulls some Odell out of his sleeve and embarrasses the other team.
I feel like Odell really needs to perform, and can the Giants finally crack 20 points? The Giants have one of the greatest defenses in football, and this is what they base themselves off of the last few years, like when they won Super Bowls. They would have a decent offense, but a great defense, and the defense would get stops, but then the offense would come in and, get those few couple game plays that could really help them win the game. And who am I excited to see from the Giants is the rookie out of Mississippi, Evan Ingram. These past 2 weeks, he's had pretty good performances for a rookie, and he looked really good in preseason.
Yeah, rookies are definitely an exciting thing to see. My favorite rookie is Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans, and he showed up. He showed up last week. I mean, he was good. Is he going to be able to take down the Patriots? No. I mean, the Patriots have Tom Brady. He's unstoppable. But Deshaun Watson is definitely somebody to watch. Rookie of the year, probably not, unless he keeps pulling out some pretty gutsy big performances. But can you stop Tom Brady?
In week 1, I think it was, Tom Brady lost his first game. And then last week, he came in with a chip on his shoulder, I'm the man, And he went out, had a fantastic performance. And I feel like he's going to come in with this game, too, with a chip on his shoulder and really go out there and just get the Texans. But the problem he's going to have with the Texans, though, is their defense. Their defense is absolutely amazing. J.J. Watt, Whitley Merciless. They can really, Jadeveon Clowney, too. They can really go out there and make plays.
I have to agree. Tom Brady's the man. You're not going to take him down. Maybe Deshaun Watson learns something here, seeing Brady compete the way that he does. Another game featuring good quarterbacks is the Falcons and the Lions. I am not a huge fan of Matt Ryan or Matthew Stafford, but I will definitely acknowledge their talent. And they will be fun to watch face off in this one.
Yeah, the Falcons just have great offensive firepower, great O-line, great receivers, 2 great running backs. And they also have a great defense, too. Great young players. Deion Jones, They acquired Dontari Poe, which is an amazing acquisition from the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be able to stop the run a little bit more. And they just look absolutely great.
Who do you got in this one?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Falcons. They're just too good overall. And I feel like the Lions will struggle.
I feel like the Lions will struggle defensively
Yeah.
against Matt Ryan and their high-powered offense.
And they will also struggle offensively because, their offensive line isn't too good. And
it's
that
weak.
Front 7 is really going to get to them with one of my favorite players, Vic Beasley Jr.
Last somewhat exciting game of the week, I mean, they're all pretty much letdowns except for the few we've talked about, is the Cowboys and the Cardinals. Now, we all know The Cowboys were just absolutely atrocious last week. Zeke did not eat. He starved, frankly. And I want to see if Zeke bounces back and feasts on the Cardinals in this one.
Yeah, the Cowboys looked extremely rusty in their last game against the Broncos, and part of the reason was that they were rusty, but also their defense. They had a couple injuries, But I feel like if their offense isn't clicking, they're not a good team at all. Their defense is just awful, and with these injuries, I don't think they'll be able to do anything this year.
Can we go back to Ezekiel Elliott, because this man is letting himself and his teammates down right now. He's getting into trouble. He's causing turmoil. He needs to get himself straight right now, because he's causing troubles. He's causing troubles. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Maybe that's why the Cowboys struggled last week. I mean, the man is going after the NFL, for Christ's sakes. That is not a good formula. We saw what happened with A-Rod when he tried to sue Major League Baseball for that steroids. The man missed a season and a half or whatever it was. I want to see things end up well for Zeke. He's incredibly talented, but this man has to get his mind right.
Yeah, and I
right
feel
now,
like
real
everyone
fast.
in the sport wants to see Zeke do good. He's so fun to watch.
Oh, you gotta love him. Like when he jumped in the Salvation Army pot.
Exactly.
That was fantastic. But he's letting everybody down, and he needs to do better, because he's got a lot of people rooting for him right now.
Yes, he really needs to turn it around.
All right. On this MJ podcast we got for you, we pull out something special every week, and our special topic, kicks/cleats of the week. Now, since we are not in basketball season, it's strictly cleats right now. And the man with the best cleats in baseball is Mike Trout. He's on his 4th signature model, and he has been showing some really fresh colorways. He pulled out a camo and white colorway the other day, which is just fantastic. He's pulled out really slick red and white and black colorways, which go really well with the Angels uniforms. And I know Adidas baseball is pulling some things out, doing some special things, making these light cleats. And Bryce Harper's doing the same thing, doing some special things with Under Armour. But Mike Trout is owning the cleat game right now. And we already mentioned Odell and what he brings to the table. So football kicks of the week, or cleats of the week, go to Stephon Diggs. He has pulled out some absolutely sick custom cleats, which he gets from Mach275 on Instagram. Go check that out, because they are just fantastic. Like that Randy Moss shout out, basically, he gave with his cleats that we saw on, was it Sunday Night or Monday Night Football against the Saints, when AP just, can we talk about that? Because AP did not get what he deserved.
Yeah, like, the problem is with the Saints, they're rotating 3 backs, and with Drew Brees, they really like to air it out, and Adrian Peterson is really like a ground and pound running back, and you got Melvin Ingram. He's a little bit good at passing, but Adrian Peterson, it's just not his game.
Yeah, but sit this man out 15 games of the year. Sit him out. You got to let him play. You got to let him play in this one game. Give this man this game. You got to give it to him. You got to give him more than 9 snaps. And you can't, they had that little, I wouldn't call it a scuffle on the sideline. But that's, you can't do that. You can't embarrass the man in front of his old crowd, people who love him. You gotta give him this game. You just got to. I don't know how else I'm supposed to say it.
But I feel like the best thing for him would to be for him to be cut, because the Saints would already have to pay his salary, and then he'd basically be free to any team. Any team could pick him up. And I feel like I said earlier, they're rotating 3 backs. Him, Melvin Ingram, and the rookie Alvin Kamara. And obviously they want to get the rookie some time, but Adrian Peterson is so old, and I'd rather have him, which is he's better in the passing game. He can get some catches than Adrian Peterson, who's older and he's just more ground dominant than being able to catch the ball.
Okay. I would have to agree with that, but you still got to give the man the game. So, last thing that we're going to do on every show is we're going to have a quick debate. Not super long, but a quick debate. And my question for you guys and for us here is, who is the best player in the NBA right now? Is it still LeBron? Has Steph taken over that title? Is Steph's way of playing not deserving of that title? Is it KD? Is KD a cupcake? I mean, the player that I pick is Kawhi Leonard. He is, because I love LeBron, but I'm not going to ride LeBron. He's got the title of debatable greatest or second greatest player in the history of the NBA. We don't need to argue whether he is the best player right now, because he's earned more respect than that. So my player is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's the best player in basketball. Who do you got?
I disagree, but I respect your opinion, and I feel like he could be, but I don't know. There's still the king at the top of the NBA, LeBron James.
Yeah, don't ride LeBron. Get out of here.
Okay, he just makes everyone around him great. Great passer. He's a veteran presence. He's been to 7, 8 straight NBA finals? The guy's just a beast.
I literally just said I'm not going to ride LeBron, and you're here riding LeBron. Let's give Kawhi Leonard some credit. The dude won NBA Finals MVP when he took down LeBron in, his second year in the league? I mean, come on. You got to give more credit than that, just to completely disregard him and say the king is better. Kawhi's taken down the king. He's a great defender. He's a good shooter. He plays excellently in that system, and he might not make the guys around him better than LeBron does, but I think Kawhi's definitely a guy that leads by example. The system in San Antonio is centered around him, and it's looking like it's going to be Kawhi's league. And I feel like I say that because people hate KD now. There's no other way to put it after his fake Twitter, being a traitor. People are tired of LeBron, voters fatigue, I guess you could say, for MVP. And Steph's dwindling. Steph is dwindling right now. I think it's Kawhi's league to become. It is in his hands. It's in his hands if he wants it. But we can talk about that another time. Let us know what you think. Anything you got to say.
I have nothing else to say besides I think it could be Giannis's league in the coming years and Kawhi's, and they could really battle it out.
Ooh, that is good. That is good. We just want to say thank you for tuning in to the first ever MJ podcast. We will be back every single week.
More to come.
More to come, for sure. Thanks.